Kingsbury Run Nature Reserve Collective Reimagination. This project aims to provide a reimagination of the Kingsbury Run Nature Reserve for, with, and most importantly, by the surrounding local communities that have been long underserved from a deeply embedded long history of environmental injustice. In collaboration with a nonprofit community development corporation known as Burton, Bell and Carr Development, BBC, the project puts a heavy emphasis on analysis and planning exercises with the inclusion of community engagement aspects that begin to visualize a bottom-up design approach, bringing new possibilities for the local citizens. Through intensive and rigorous mapping and diagramming in a multi-scale manner, the complex interplay of various systems and armatures are visualized to understand the contextuality of the site, its immediate region, but also opportunities to leverage as well as critical issues to address. Most importantly, a continuous conversation with the partnering organization as well as numerous calls, meetings, and presentations with other key stakeholders provide valuable insights and opinions that hold a significant place in the overall analytical and design processes of the project, making it highly responsive and dynamic and multidimensional. Kingsbury Run Nature Reserve Collective Reimagination began its journey with a task, and that was a proposition of a new future for the site and its services for the surrounding neighborhoods. Located in Cleveland, Ohio, the site has gained considerable attention during the last 10-20 years in redevelopment schemes for improving the local communities given their past mistreatments from environmental injustice and toxic dumping in the site that posed serious health hazards for the inhabitants living directly next to it, but also to fulfill the promises from urban renewals around the site that never came to be as advertised. For us to gain a deep understanding of the site, a dive into the analytical approaches to revealing existing contextual complexities was made before engaging in discussions with local stakeholders for meaningful community engagements. Through robust and rigorous site investigation and documentation research, a holistic methodology to know the site and the people was developed, and by the exploration of different systems and their interrelationships combined with active conversations with stakeholders concerning the prospects of the site's redevelopment, the rich analytical exercise helped in the conceptualization of the project such that it is highly performative, functional, and dynamically experiential. Acknowledging there are countless layers, networks, and relationships that exist in the site, its rich history, and its surrounding neighborhoods, we began with a regional reading of armatures. From Kingsbury Run's historic origin as a critical stream that once run through the Kingsman neighborhood and many other communities naturally, turned into one of the most contaminated waterways from industrial activities and largely toxic dumping later on, and is now buried underground. A hydrological investigation kick-started the project. From visualizing the relationships and implications between subwatersheds and existing open space networks, we begin to see the significance Kingsbury Run Nature Reserve holds in terms of its services ecologically, hydrologically, and most importantly, socially. In a radius comparison, it becomes clear the site is the most vital amenity, an asset for local neighborhoods, but also critical as a ponding site during rainy seasons. This was confirmed in a later discussion with stakeholders' concerns about flooding and potentiality for natural filtration and ecological enhancements. Temporarily departing from natural systems, connectivity and infrastructural networks as a way of tracing the social conditions and their contextual qualities were visualized. By understanding the densities of different transportation systems, cycling, bus systems, rail networks, automobile grids, one begins to see and realize how isolated and disconnected the site and the Kingsman neighborhood is. But at the time, knowing the peripheral existing and proposed cycling networks, there pose opportunities for the space and communities to reconnect to the larger urban fabrics. Further looking into social opportunities through identifying the accumulation or the lack of amenities around the site reflects a critical need for programming and land use diversification to provide opportunities for local communities. In an attempt to comprehensively integrate the design of the site into the larger surrounding conditions, under the impression that there are numerous significant projects and proposals scattered around the neighborhoods, particularly a major infrastructural development project, the Opportunity Corridor. A diagrammatic summary of all relevant projects and proposals is created, allowing for a much more sensitive and inclusive design concept. Changing gears, in a multi-scale approach, a closer inspection and examination of existing site conditions was made, incorporating documentation research of underground conditions, accessibility, topography, and other critical elements at play that would impact the design of the site. This was juxtaposed with a closer look at social dynamics adjacent to the site as a contrast of understanding the limitations, restrictions, but also opportunities and potentialities of interventions. Through three-dimensional deep sections, site-scale analysis was carried out, unfolding the intricacy of spatial relationships and landscape systems that would not be visible or legible in other previously used scales. Using sectional diagrams, it revealed the geography of the site by which soil contamination remains an issue requiring treatment, the opportunities for ecological enhancements thereby promoting sustainability, the topographic orientation and potentials for hydrological interventions that build resiliency, but also the historic heritage of the sideway bridge that cuts through the site, potentials of reconnections, diversification of programs that make a profound impact on the surrounding communities. From there, the analytical efforts are brought to the most critical segment of the project's development, community engagements. Through sharing of conclusive findings from the previous iterations of investigations, they are further enriched through dialogues with key stakeholders who have had their own experiences working with local communities, understanding the needs of the people and their editing of the site, the conditions, the issues to address, and the visions to project. By comparing the outcomes of the numerous conversations with organizations and individuals, a summary diagram that outlines the most important aspects, concerns, of stakeholders was made to facilitate the concept of the design. To address the complexities of the site conditions, systems at play, and integration of stakeholders' views, the concept began with the reinterpretation of Kingsbury Run, the stream, the origin and beginning of the site. By reimagining the river flowing through the site, puncturing the site boundaries, and permeating into the surrounding neighborhood, it proposes an impactful future that emphasizes possibilities. From a heavily contaminated stream, which was once natural, a problematic and underutilized site, to the symbol of life, vitality of water, movement, and fluidity, the design intends to link site-specific and sensitive dynamic programming through the different reimagination of the Kingsbury Run waterway. The idea of meandering paths coursing through the site where residents and other visitors alike can flow through and have different experiences was key. It is about the many different journeys one can have through the site. It is about the various experiential qualities and adventures, and it is about the empowerment of the local communities and building identities. The design responds sensitively to the development of the Opportunity Corridor and cycling networks through strong pathway connections with the integration of programs that are closely related to the surrounding contexts. From the industrial rail park that actively engages users with the site's infrastructural background with soil treatment underneath, to the central oasis of woodlands and wetlands created through topographic manipulations that create a range of habitats as ecological hotspots that also, on another hand, function as a natural filter for stormwater, as well as multi-leveled trail systems, to the feature terrace and hybrid playscapes for all ages that provides opportunities across all 4 seasons. The design is multifunctional, highly performative, and diverse in spatial experiential qualities. This is reflected in an unconventional zoning visualization that maps out gradual transitions in the mood of the place, the velocity of movements, sensorial stimulations, and potential activities. Finally, connecting to the stakeholders and the project's potential in actualization, a detailed phasing diagram with program stages open for various organizations and local communities to partake in is made to further catalyze the discussion in Kingsbury Run Nature Reserve's new future. Kingsbury Run Nature Reserve Collective Reimagination as analysis, research, and community engagement intensive and visioning project combines the different qualities of the site and the people to suggest a vastly dynamic possibility that promotes local sustainability, resiliency, diversity, and last but not least, social equity. It is a project that imagines with the people.